to the microphone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Start it like that?
We're starting it like that, boys and girls.
Oh
Jesus
my
has coronavirus.
god.
Oh
We're sending
man,
it all
that's
over.
if that's not an intro for this week's podcast.
That's a perfect
That is
intro for
a
this
that is
week,
a
obviously.
great intro. Hi
Good
everyone.
job, man. We are on top of it today.
Noise.
Noise. Hi guys.
10 out of 10.
Welcome to Divine and Conquer's ReRoll podcast, where we discuss previous games that we've had and then try to go a little bit into specific topics here and there. This week we're going to be discussing escapism and immersion within Dungeons and Dragons. But let's introduce ourselves. Who do we have here? Hi guys, I am Jesus. I am the DM for the Sacred World game on Friday. I also DM for the Hogwarts Prep on Wednesdays. I play Fox in our every other Monday game for Horde of the Dragon Queen, as well as the other stuff that we do here. Going down the list from top to bottom, it's appropriate that the Angel Boys on top and our Demon Boys at bottom.
I am the bottom of the barrel as always.
The bottom of the hole. Colt, would you introduce yourself?
Yes, I am Colton. I play Ariel, the Paladin of Palor. Angel Paladin. There we go.
Oh my god. Oh.
Yes, awesome. Cool. And then go. That was gonna be more after that, but yeah. Going further down, we have Jeremiah.
It's me. Hello, my name is Jeremiah, and I play. Let's start at Monday, I guess. Our other Monday game of Horde of the Dragon Queen, I play Murder Rider Samurai that wakes up everybody at 6 a.m. On Wednesday, I play Leon Jones, the Ravenclaw Wizardborn Ranger / that. Anyway, the Fairy Godfather. Anyway, and on Friday, I play Ragnar, the Artificer, Full Metal Artificer. And I play Jeremiah on An Everyday Life.
Yeah. And then going further down, we have Lynn.
Yeah, I'm Lynn, and I play on Mondays for Horde of the Dragon Queen. I play Grayson Tadrick, the human noble wizard. And, yeah. I mean, that's about it.
The zestiest of them boys.
The zestiest and leggiest of the boys.
And then at the
What
bottom
do you do?
of
What do you
our
do on
hole-
Saturdays, Lynn?
Oh, yeah. That's not really an RP, but
It's not.
It's D&D related.
On Saturdays, I am co-host with Vic for Demiplanes and Doodles, where it's a little art doodle cast on Twitch, and we take guest suggestions and draw things and have discussions about D&D and character design.
Yeah. And bottom of a barrel, who do we have?
Bottom of the barrel, it's me. Hi, I'm Vic, and on Fridays, I play Wes the Barbarian Warlock in Sacred World, and on some Mondays, when we're not doing this podcast, I am DM for Horde of the Dragon Queen, and also co-host with Lynn on Saturdays for our Demiplanes and Doodles.
Yeah. And all right, before we get into the nitty-gritty bits of discussing our I guess pseudo-philosophical immersion or escapism, and maybe some stories that we've had about those topics, let's open up for questions for the DM. Does anyone have any questions for the DM or for any of the other games that you guys have seen that you're just curious and wanting to poke at poke at our characters, or trying to get a little bit of inside information on why someone did something, or why the DM decided to throw a Kraken at you?
Yes, I have a question. I know the answer, I think, but yes, I have a question. So the last campaign, not the Sacred World campaign, that I played, where I was Alaron Esperus, that Dragonborn on Hermea,
Yes,
is the same one, right?
that is the same Dragonborn. Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to know. It was killing me.
Yeah, which actually very very curious and uh uh because I was writing the for the Holy Thunder campaign. That was just like, other than just being like our first introduction to the streaming world and like how to mold D&D, like, and specifically our table into becoming the table that we're going to have on stream, and like, kicking all those nicks and crannies out of the way, what works, what doesn't work. I was very surprised that Linda was like, oh, the dragon's dying then. I'm like, ooh, astute of you, madam. So I was like, damn, you picked on that shit quick, bro. But yeah, that was a little thingy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hermea was actually the last campaign's end fight.
Yep.
Oh shit, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
T kind of like breezed on it a little bit, but yeah, they fought this again. The campaign was on like 26 episodes, and like we like, you know peeking behind the curtains, we had to kind of close it because of like real world things, and a lot of people like we have two more games and like that's it, we can't do anymore. So like,
Yeah.
it was very rushed to get to that point, but it was just like we need to finish the campaign, and they had a fight with a demon prince, who was disguised himself as a gorilla.
Raise his eyebrows slightly.
Yeah, that's the second or third character I think we've encountered in Sacred World that has carried over from the last campaign.
Oh yeah.
So
Jamal,
now that we've encountered the really annoying Knights of Heronius, I'm really waiting for us to find another important Heronius worshiper.
we'll see if that happens, because he is human, so they don't have like huge life expectancy.
Yeah. How many years exactly was it from the last campaign?
I don't think it was terribly long. I think I threw like an obscure number. Oh wait, no, it was like very short time, like 8 years or something. So yeah, no.
Oh,
So
okay.
he's still alive. Yeah, y'all still alive.
Okay, cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So this campaign takes 8 years after the last campaign. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes. So
Colton, how does it? I just want to ask Colton, how does it feel for you to be a player from the previous campaign that affected into this current campaign, and like seeing all these callbacks in places?
It's okay. So like, this is probably I want to say, I'm just spitballing, probably like the 23rd or 24th D&D campaign I've played, and I've never been challenged so much in my life when it comes to metagaming. It's like every time we encounter someone, or every time there's something that we, or like town we go to, oh shit, no, I can't do that. I can't say this. I can't do that. I don't know this.
Oh, that's why you look like you're always going to implode at the table. So I just look over sometimes and I just see him like vibrating.
Like when Peaches
Oh yeah.
especially came to the town,
fucking
I was
Peaches.
like, I know who this is.
Oh yeah, that bitch.
That bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's definitely interesting. I mean, it's really cool. Don't get me wrong, but it's like for a player, but for a player who's running a character at the same time, it's like difficult to say the least. I'm
Screaming internally.
Yes, I'm always screaming internally. I am in a perpetual state of screaming internally.
I think as soon as Colton gets into it, like, okay, and the screaming starts now.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. So, this amazing silence is killing me.
I know. I'm like, oh, that's a good beat of silence right there.
Yeah, lovely little beat of silence.
That's a good lull.
I don't know about y'all, but I heard some crickets.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to think of questions to ask people.
Yeah, I was gonna as everybody's saying that they have their notes ready.
Oh, I was completely candid with you, and I said I had no notes. I'm just going.
Yes, I
I-
definitely have a lot of notes about this.
That's where the joke goes.
I don't know
So
what you're talking about.
Because I do have I have a question, but it came from like 3, I think, podcasts ago. And I was like, I wanted to ask it, but we had already run over like an hour. So it's a little unrelated to
sure, what's up?
kind of this topic of conversation, but it was like, so character, like, I wouldn't say like flaws. It's more like, I don't know, like little quirks, character quirks. There we go. Like,
Ooh,
because like I was trying to remember where
that's a good
Ariel's.
topic. I love that.
Yeah, like I was trying to remember I'm still trying to remember where the whole soap thing came in with Ariel, and I don't know. It just kind of happened, and I'm still trying to.
I know
exactly
where it started. I know
Yes.
exactly where it
I
started.
think
Okay,
it
yeah.
kind of just
I know.
happened, but yeah.
I know.
There
I know
was a
exactly
specific
where it
point.
started.
Yes. All right, Vic. Let's hear.
It was when we were in the snowy mountains just after the sapphire mines. We were investigating a
Oh,
cabin,
I
and we
remember.
found a barrel full of 30 soaps, and you wouldn't let it go.
That's it.
Yeah, I just
And I'm like,
remember-
why
I
the
just
fuck
remembered-
do you want a barrel full of soap? And you're like, I need it.
I was because like for the DM because you rolled a really high investigation, so I'm like, you have to find something. I'm not gonna
It
let
was a
that
cookie for Ariel.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna
think
let that
that's
number
where it
go to
came
waste. So
from.
I'm like, let's give you something that's valuable, useful,
Yeah.
appeals towards your character, but like also mundane. Like maybe something that the town left behind as they were running away that they wouldn't need. What would something be valuable about soap? And that just popped into my head. So I'm like, Ariel, you find 30 soaps.
That makes so much more sense now, because it's like I think now you say it was the barrel of soaps.
It was the barrel of soaps. I remember that
It's
because
like-
you would not let
It's
that
like
go.
because I rolled so high. And it's like it wasn't the fact that it was soap. I didn't care what it was. It was the fact that I rolled so high and I fucking found something.
You're like, I
That
found
was
this.
like
I
Positive
rolled high.
reinforcement. You just got hit by like a massive of like serotonin.
Like this is mine.
I
I found it.
This is
And I
mine.
kind of just went with it after that. Like,
Yeah.
I guess that's how, because I had never planned on Ariel having any like quirks or anything like that. But after that, it's just I've embraced the role of Soapy Boy.
I mean, it makes sense because you're walking around in, like super clean, pristine white robes on you, so it would make sense that you have like at least a little bit of a retentiveness with cleanliness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I was
I
wondering.
guess-
So I was like, I could not remember where that whole thing came from. It was driving me insane.
Bam's prestidigitation, like no.
Yeah, I guess
hinting
with
a cantrip. Yes.
with Colton saying something about that was like, I know it might. I guess it's kind of like immersion as well. It's might be in topic, but with your characters, what is like specific quirks that you think that your characters in D&D have, like basically Ariel with the soap.
Oh, for everybody?
Yeah, it was like your D&D characters, like kind of like with like that, like Ariel's and his obsession with cleanliness and soap.
I'm ready for Lynn's answer on this.
Oh, let me get out my notebook.
Lynn has like an entire like diary full of like great works, and it's fantastic.
Like how
I
long
love
have you
it.
been role playing Grayson? Like years, right?
He's probably maybe only 2 now.
He's a toddler.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's only played in the campaign the previous one to this one, where I would have my group where we used to meet up together and stuff. But that's the only that's where he was built. But
Interesting.
he has so many weird little quirks and like things about him that is brought on by how I roleplay him and like his backstory. So, yeah.
Is that because from a writing perspective, you're like, oh, this would be fun, because that's kind of like going on like with Jeremiah's, like do you think of quirks when you're making a character? And for
No.
like the writing, you don't. Gosh dang. For like,
I don't.
For when I write
No,
a
I
character, I would be like, here's a detail that I love about them. Doing like Taliesin 7 dwarf mentality. When trying to create an NPC, like that detail then expands on that detail. Because like for T was his beard. That was the only thing that I cared about T the Wise. Well, if he cares about his beard being that big, he must care about his dress. If he cares about his dress this way, he must, and then that branches off and branches off and branches off. At least that's for me. But it's very interesting that a writer doesn't think about the writing parts of Lynn, you and Grayson are always weird in my head. in the most positive way.
Thank you. I love Grayson so much.
Because to tell you the truth, with me personally, like I don't want to trigger anybody, but when I was basically writing Carabao and his
triggered
backstory and his story and stuff, it was like I didn't specifically write anything like he has like this sort of quirk, but it just kind of grew like basically me tapping into his character is like he's not a child. Like he's 80 years old, 86 years old. Like he's definitely not a child, but to elf standards, it's kind of like a young adult. So that's why he acts the way he acts, even though 86 years old. And same thing with Birderai. The reason why he crows 3 times every 6 a.m. is because he wasn't like a little backstory, I guess. So like he wasn't raised as an Aarakocra. He was raised by a Dragonborn. He was raised by a Dragonborn. So the Dragonborn doesn't really know how to raise an Aarakocra baby. So
did he raise him as a rooster?
He didn't raise him as a rooster. This is the little backstory to it. They were traveling. Birderai is probably like a year old. He's getting older. He's trying to sense some things, and he saw a red rooster that was crowing in the morning.
Aww.
When they stopped on a place to set up shop, because there were his Dragonborn adopted father was a blacksmith, traveling blacksmith who travels around just selling things. And when they stopped for a few days on a certain location, he kept seeing this red rooster crowing every morning. It was like, I'm a red bird. Maybe I should do it too.
Understood.
That's adorable.
Understood.
Yeah, and I guess Rognarv's little quirk is Brom. He thinks everybody thinks that Rognarv is a real scorpion.
That Brom is a real scorpion?
Of course.
And he gave a little big secret to West that Brom is a robot.
West has the most powerful secret in all of the Interseas right now. Like this could change things.
And after the game, he was a little bit disappointed with what the dragon told us. Like, you need to put 2 more legs on your Brom, and not gonna lie to you, Rognarv was a little sad about that.
West was sad about many things, guys.
He was sad, yeah. Compared to how Rognarv's sadness, like, doesn't compare to West's real life.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I mean, the dragon was just saying from a biological standpoint, evolution has evolved in a certain way. That's all. Like, that's the only thing I was getting.
Like,
at.
he did ask, how can I make a Brom, my construct, stronger?
Come on, bro, 6-wheel drive.
Yeah.
6 all terrain.
All terrain.
You guys that played 3.5, you remember in the player's handbook, like I think right before feats there was a specific, I can pull up my book but I don't want to. There's a specific chart for traits.
Oh yeah, the ideals, bonds, and flaws.
Yes. I know that like 5th edition it like expanded on that, and like that's how you like roleplay your character now, or like if you have no story, like that's how they would build it. But back in my old games, they had a rule where like you have to roll on this table, even if you hate it. The first 2 things that you roll, you have to have those 2 things. Like the first roll that I ever got was like my character was overweight. So like even if I would have like made him like the super fittest monk in the world, now he has to be overweight. I think he was overweight and he whistles or something like that. And like we were forced to do those, and most of us when I joined that game, we were brand new to D&D, so we're like, all right, I guess this is how it's done. And then we expanded on into like 1,001 character traits, and there were some like outlandish things, like anytime you cast a spell, if you're a spellcaster, you have to yell it out like a Dragon Ball Z character. And
Oh
so,
gosh.
and
Oh god.
Yeah.
so like the sillier of those things, but how do you guys feel about like force upon character traits versus the natural growing of those? Because I've like I still have that printout sheet, but I've never asked anyone at the table in the past couple of years to ever do that. Just because I've been getting more involved into like back in those days, it was more of a module standpoint where you'd be like, the DM has a plan, you just go along with the plan. We make jokes and drink and then like order a pizza. Versus this is a game where people have stakes and arcs and we're growing as a family. So just with all that bleh out in the air, I don't know. You guys have any thoughts on it?
I don't like the thought of forced
Right?
Yeah.
like quirks and traits, because I feel
Yeah,
like
I agree with
it's
that.
just that during gameplay and role playing. I feel like it's if it like develops naturally, kind of like Ariel and the soap and things like that, then I feel like it comes much more naturally, and I feel like if it flows better and you're more confident in those traits, then it comes off way better to the audience too.
For sure, I agree.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I think force traits are fine if you're doing like a one shot or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. Just like when Pineapple had some traits that was nothing.
Uh,
I agree with what Colson said about, well, like, I'm not a fan of it being forced because it's not natural. It's like, well, what if you don't connect with it? Like you as a person don't connect with this trait. How can you role play that properly?
Yeah, because I think
Yeah.
the idea of role playing wasn't something that I was like really like discovered in Dungeons and Dragons until like maybe like 6 years in the game. Like after like when I went to go play with some people at like a comic book shop, and everyone was role playing and having accents and stuff. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
the fuck are these weirdos
Like,
doing?
what is happening? Why do you care so much about your character? I just put all the skills I wanted so I can metamax on disabling device. Like,
Fucking
why
metamax.
are you? Because that's what we were about. Like in the original table that I was in, it wasn't about. Like we had a player who, I think he's probably played D&D longer than I have. And in those, and I've been playing for like 16 years now. In those, so let's just be simple, say 17 years. In those 17 years plus, he's only played one character. It's always a dwarven cleric. Many names, but it's always a dwarven cleric. Because he plays one thing, that's what he does at the table, and the rest of the day is for pizza and beer.
Nice.
And that works fantastic for them. We had another guy he's either a human wizard or a gnome wizard. And then the other guy was a rogue. And when I wanted to be the rogue, there was conflict about it. And I'm like, that's my role. I'm the rogue. I'm like, oh.
But there could be different rogues, though.
They can. But at this table, I was being introduced. I was walking on their table. So I'm like,
boy.
oh, okay. And like, it wasn't like a negative thing, like,
Right.
because we were all friends, but it was like, this is my role. I usually play this.
Right, it's because it's like, this is my thing. You can't have this.
Yeah.
My thing. This is my brand. This is
Kind
only
of.
stuff
And like, that works
I
for
know.
them, and they're doing their
Yeah.
thing and whatever. And like, I looked up my old DM today, like, guy who DM'd me for the first time, introduced me to D&D. And I was like, looking through his pictures on Facebook. Not a single picture of a dice, not a single picture of their table. Like, D&D for them is just an excuse to hang out, drink beer, and eat pizza, which is totally fine and totally dying of corona.
Yep.
But yeah, it was just such an odd thing, because I think like when I started DMing other tables, we did the whole like, here are your character traits. and how they explained it to me was like sometimes you don't like you're born with this. You don't get to choose. Like sometimes you just whistle a lot, or sometimes you're born without a finger. Like these are things that you're born with or that you do naturally that you didn't get to pick. But with D&D, this is your character. You're making this persona.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like this is essentially your baby, and then stay like I'm like always half and half when it comes to I need you to stop dying, bro. Okay, that's fine.
Nothing.
Are we done dying?
The whole reason why I muted myself was so the audience didn't hear me coughing, and so you can continue on with your story. You didn't have to wait until I was done. But I guess
it's fine. It's
in those
fine. Like,
awkward seconds of silence for the audience, now they know what's
awkward
up.
seconds of silence. No, I was just gonna say that I'm usually like half and half when it comes to because it's always different tables, different modules, different roles and additions, and so on and so forth. But the whole thing of whether it be character traits that are pre-selected for you, or forced traits, or traits that you pick and develop on your own, I'm like always on the middle ground because I first started playing tabletop games through Gamma World. In Gamma World, they rolled everything for you.
Yeah, Gamma
So
World.
when you're building your dude, Gamma World's so good. I love it. And so you would roll from like your what your goal is. You'd roll for your traits, your flaws, your handicap. You'd roll handicap. Like for instance, you would roll for your mutation, and your mutation has something to do with like you're a mutant that you can know like the chemical properties of a plant if you eat it. But then you'd roll your flaw or your handicap, and your handicap would be, but you have no taste buds, so you won't know if you're tasting poison or not. Like shit like that. It was like it I don't know. I feel like you could always like work with it, but I understand if you're handed the traits, it's like you're being handed a character, like somebody else's character, and you're like, what do I do with this? I don't know where to go from here. Like you weren't spending the time building your character from the ground up and like getting an idea of how you wanted to play them, what their thoughts or emotions or their aspirations would be.
If you don't have fun playing them, you're not going to want to play them.
Basically, yeah.
That's true. Yep. Worm.
Yeah.
Oh, the novel Worm. Okay, gotcha. Alrighty. Do we have any questions for the DMs?
I have a question about immersion.
Okay. Oh.
I thought of one.
Before we actually jump into the main topic, are we do we want to like cap the topic about asking players or DM questions, and then just get into the nitty-gritty?
Yeah,
not really a question to the DM for Horde, but more of a thank you for feeding my my weirdness with burger eye crowing every 6 a.m. Anyway,
hey, it was a character trait you developed, and I just nourished it.
Oh, actually, I do have a question now
What's up?
For the DM for Horde. Was it an intentional writing? What happened with Grayson and his son? Because that was like a huge, like, I don't know, real world situation where like you had to confront an abusive parent and standing up for yourself. Like those are very big topics that were like shoved in our faces. And
sorry,
that just came out of nowhere.
It's like it's awesome. Like, did you have anything written for that, or it's like here are this quote unquote villain, and it just evolved into it?
Let me grab my notebook and let me go to the page I had written Rhoda. Mind you, one page. So it was one of those things where I when I am planning an encounter for a character, like a big NPC that you will be dealing with time to time, the most that I have written down for these characters is I have the description that I give you, and then I have what their intended goal is for the encounter, and then I have like 1 or 2 starting lines, like 1 to 2. I think I only have 2 lines written for her, like actual scripted lines, and then the rest is playing off of whoever she's interacting.
Do you use the 2 pages rule of thumb per session?
For what?
The 2 pages rule of thumb per session, like never write more than 2 pages for your for excuse me, for your session, just because it gets bottled down, like to be more of a like an improv situation, or
Oh no, I write as much as I need to.
Oh.
Like, because I'm of a person, I don't know, my brain is weird, and I have usually a difficult time processing things unless I do it in a certain way. So I just I have my notes written in a way that I can read them and be like, okay, this is what I need, and then the rest I'll either have like kind of like random quotes written that I could play off of. I just have like, you know, my outline for what is expected of the session, and then like the subnotes of what will happen if maybe this happens or maybe they do this.
Sure.
And then I never have the one note that I need for when it's like, oh shit, they picked the third option.
Yeah, usually
the third
I'm like
imaginary option.
I think for most of my games I have, this is where I want to start, and then we'll see, and this is where I want to end. It never happens, but we'll see what happens.
So, like, the notes that I have are basically, if I have NPCs that'll be interacted with, I'll just have, like, their intended note session. Be like, Captain David doing this, or Rhoda Taderick is needing to do this. Like, you know, kind of like how you do it, where, like, there's a plan going on, and, like, whether or not you interact with it, it's going to keep happening until it's, like, interacted with in a way.
I think looking at a DM's notes and, like, reading it, it's like you're picking at their brain and how their brain works.
Yeah. My brain doesn't.
Oh, okay. Well, good to know.
It doesn't.
Wait, you get notes? I get sent a script and everything. Wait, what? Oh wait, no, I forgot I'm not muted.
Yeah. And by the way, I need you guys to read over your script for next week.
Yeah, I will. Don't worry. Wait.
So yeah, no. To answer the question, the entire conversation that happened between Grayson and Rhoda, 100% like improv.
Yeah, but that was so good though.
Like all of her reactions were improv, and from after that point, I just would do some like dice rolls, be like, okay, what is she doing here? What's gonna happen here? I rolled a dex check for Xavier when he hit that marble floor. Okay, you fucking failed. You're gonna full suit of plate mail. You're crashing, and that's gonna be heard throughout the house. like
I mean, when that interaction happened, it's like just like basically in our topic today. I was completely immersed on that drama. It's like I was watching like some kind of television in the afternoon or something. I don't know, man. I was just like, look at this. Where's my popcorn?
Welcome back.
While I watch this drama.
It was definitely yeah. It was definitely a telenovela moment. But all right,
I mean, I love writing villains, so that's just my thing.
It was pretty.
I guess
it was really good, dude. I
don't know what that says about me as a person, but
it means
I do want to say about Sacred World, now that we're moving, I mean, once we're done with whether we go to Whitestone or if we go to Corvassa, whichever we go, I am kind of glad that after that we plan on moving south, because there is some more Ariel backstory that will be revealed if we do go further south. I am
starving for Ariel backstory, thank you.
There's a lot of plots that still need to be done.
I want Ariel backstory. The worst part is if you go north, you'll get west backstory, and that's just a bad time all around.
Yeah, north is west backstory. Midground is, well, I mean, Oria's arc is not necessarily finished. I would never say an arc is finished, but her major goal was
Filled?
can be fulfilled.
Yeah.
She has the materials to fulfill it.
It's
She
just
has not.
getting the experience needed in order to cast it is the only thing that she needs to work towards.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
like
for the most part, it's kind of like if you're thinking of it narrative, like in like narrative, she's in the falling action of her, where she has the necessary things and she's working towards her conclusion for her goal.
And Orcdeath is just barely starting to bloom.
I'm very interested in what's happening there.
Because he gave a very big, like, holy crap.
He did. He just
what
dropped it out in the middle of nowhere. Hey, by the way, what?
Oh, you completely cut out from my end, but
damn it. No, yeah, he was just like, yeah, I'm not really a dwarf. It all has to do with this axe that I stole. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, that was kind of like what.
That was wild. Oh my god.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
I like writing crazy ass character shit, but holy fuck.
Yeah.
Do we have an Ori in the chat tonight? I haven't heard her say anything.
No, we do not. She's not feeling well.
Oh, much sadness.
She spends all day with children, so.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. You know, as Oria does.
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
She's tired of babysitting, so she's just gonna.
Chat mom is tired of babysitting. She's alright, understood.
Chat mom is so tired of babysitting.
I have a couple lists of things, but before we go into those, I know Colton had a question about immersion or.
Yeah.
What's up?
So let's say, because real life hits you pretty hard. I think everyone has dealt with that before a session. So, like, if you're just not in the mood and you can't seem to get yourself into the D&D mood, but you're going to be playing D&D anyway, what do you do to kind of get yourself into the mood to play D&D? What do you do?
Myself.
Immerse yourself.
Like for me, before I actually go in, like when I'm not in the mood or just not, I'm just in a bad mood, kind of, because especially on Friday I get off work like kind of late sometimes, and I go home, take a quick shower, and then go to the studio, and I have like an hour and a half drive sometimes, and I just sit there in my car for 5 minutes, and I talk to my character basically, like not joking, like maybe if somebody sees me, well, like what is this guy doing talking to himself in different voices, like in different voices. If somebody sees me, somebody might call someone. But like I talk to myself either while I'm driving or I stop and then I just talk to myself for 5 minutes. I talk to Jeremiah, and then basically Jeremiah and Ragnar is talking, or Jeremiah and Leon is talking, and Jeremiah and Bergerai is talking to each other. And then I'm slowly like, okay, I'm here. Wait, who?
I want to hear a conversation between Jeremiah and Bergerai one day. That sounds fascinating.
Yeah, yeah. That was like two children talking to each other.
Oh my goodness.
It's like, I just want to find my sword. Like, but you need to help your friends out too. But my sword is so close. Like, I know. Like,
calm down. It's okay.
We're almost there. We're like, is it 6 a.m. yet?
Oh my God.
I need some release.
My answer to this is probably not as interesting as Jeremiah's, because that's amazing to me, to sit down and talk to your character. I don't know if I could ever get into the headspace to do that. I think it's just, instead of kind of stepping back to have a conversation with my character, I'm just like, I kind of identify what part of me is the character. Like West is like this fucking tiny brain cell in my head that's just like held back by a filter, and so when it's Friday night, I just turn the filter off, and I'm like, okay, guys.
There's one little speck that comes out. Yeah, hello, I'm West.
It's like this one tiny vibrating brain cell in my head. That's West. My one story for this is, I don't know. It would be, I just kind of go through the motion of getting there, and by the time like we're ready to film and start playing, then it's suddenly West is here. Like there was like one time, I remember it was on a Friday, and slight trigger warning, animal stuff. I had to put a cat down like that Friday morning, and that fucking, oh my god, that put me in such a bad headspace. Like, I was like crying all day. I was crying at work, and then I get off work and I'm like, oh fuck, film. I don't know if I feel like filming. I don't know if I feel like doing this, and I just fuck it, just kind of like brain shut off, went through the motions. Go home, get dressed, eat something, get in the car, and then go to the studio. And I just like was just not like emotionally available. And then like the game starts and I'm like, okay, time to be West. And West just shows up. So
Yeah.
I kind of make it, I guess me leaning more towards into escapism is what I use it as. Like, it's just, I want to project through another character just to avoid the shit going on in my life in the moment.
I guess that's kind of true as well, because I don't know because I'm the first one that comes to the studio, and I don't know if Jesus kind of sees it sometimes, but sometimes I'm just like kind of going through the motion, getting my dice
single time, bro.
Like getting my dice, opening my suitcase. I'm just like kind of going through the motions.
Your tiny little dice suitcase, I love.
Like, I'm just kind of going through the motions, and then kind of like that, like all of a sudden, as soon as I was like, okay, we're live, Ragnar goes in immediately, or just Leon, like, and then or Leon just comes in. It's like, I guess it's part of that. It's just the escape.
There's a very specific switch for I guess pulling back on the curtains for Jeremiah that the audience will never get to see, because as soon as like we start counting down, the switch starts. But there's a very specific switch that Jeremiah has. On
what?
Yes, you do.
When Jeremiah's having a bad day, or like your brain is attacking you, and you have to like just get through that, and then goes into playing your character. But yeah, there's a very tell switch that you do.
Yeah.
The only reason why I see that and I notice that is because I was told that I have that switch when I was in theater. A intro one day, like, here's day one of class of one of the theater performances that I had to do, and they're like, just go on stage and just present yourself, just walk on, and I walk on, and then I'm like, oh, this is me, blah blah blah. The director, so like, you have no personality, like, you're very secluded, you avoided everybody, but as soon as you were on cue, you exploded into a different character. Like, as soon as someone tells you it's time to perform, you perform into a new character. And we can get into a much deeper conversation about that, but that has to deal with a lot of what face you're putting on for the audience, that a lot of people have to put on when they suffer from depression a lot. It's just, what face am I using today? And we've learned to use those faces, so when we're live and we're performing, which we perform every single day in those situations, it's like, what face am I using today? Oh, I'm using my bombastic self. I'm using my secluded self. I'm using the, oh yeah, mom, everything's going fine self.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree to that.
It's going a little bit to
that's
escape.
kind of true. That's kind of true.
Because it's like, I've got my non-existent face when I'm at home, face I have when I'm in front of family, face I have the kitchen. Like, there's like so many different like masks that are just like sitting on a wall for me that I'm like, all right, what is it today?
Yeah, it's
like, what is it today?
Which is the amazing thing about D&D. Bombastic dwarf.
Bombastic dwarf, best character.
Yeah, that it just, you can escape, and when you're escaping, you're not. Which is one of the things I was going to ask. Like, is escapism bad? Like, are you running away from your problems, or are you pausing it to give yourself time to like heal, have a different emotion? Are you working through your problem?
I like to think of it as you're putting pause on stuff, or you're at least kind of mentally stepping out of yourself to like maybe work through a problem. Like for me, for playing West, I think West is a lovely escape for the time, because I feel like I don't have to think as critically as West. So just
yeah.
like I turn off like half of my brain, and
Understood.
I guess it's I think I like escaping through West because it's me, like, I guess kind of in a way like my own fantasy of I wish I was more impulsive. So, and Wes is very much an impulsive character where it's like he sees a thing, oh, I'm gonna go do that over there, or I'm gonna go hit that thing, or I'm gonna call you an asshole to your face because I think you're a fucking asshole. Like, he's just very candid and in the moment, and I guess it's just, as somebody who is an aggressive overthinker, that's just somebody I want to be more of and embody.
Mhm.
But I'm just so not capable of it. Beating?
Yeah.
We have a person?
Oh, we have an orc death that comes.
Oh,
Orc
we do
death
have
is
death.
has arrived.
An orc death has arrived. Welcome to the podcast, Orc Death. Hey, Dickie. Yeah.
Like, I kind of get that too, is because with like kind of tapping into Ragnar's brain a little bit.
Mhm.
Like, maybe like that's kind of like the reason why Ragnar is kind of, what's this, not like, well, I guess literally looking up to West because he's short, but it's just I guess just the dwarf in Ragnar is like liking West's impulsiveness.
You too, buddy.
It's like, I just a little side note that the reason why Ragnar thinks West is the smartest because he can just, because of his impulsiveness, like, let's not think, let's just go, let's like, or let's just, and then all the things that he can read. But with other people are saying, well, like, but
For
you,
the record, that's not West reading, that's Satan reading.
Like, yeah, but he doesn't know that really. But for the, like, we'll say, well, like, well, in paper, Ragnar is the smartest of the group. Was like, but let me say it again. Ragnar thinks West is the smartest in the Elysian Vagabonds. Ragnar is not part of it.
You hear that, Ariel? You hear that?
Hey, yep.
It's like Ragnar is not part of the Elysian Vagabonds. He's a bag of beans.
He's a bag of beans. That reminds me, I have a picture on my phone that I've been meaning to share on group text because we were making tart shells in class one day, and our way to make the tart shells is we weigh them down with beans and we wrap them in plastic wrap. So I'm like, I literally have a bag of beans.
Yes. Yeah, I remember that.
Makes me so happy. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Hey, Grayson, do you have any comments on escapism?
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. I will say, Vic likes to drag me on this one, but I have every single character I play is over 6 feet tall because I'm escaping into a tall person.
Yes.
Bitch, me too, the fuck. West is like 6'5".
I know.
He's 6'5" and weighs like 270. Like, I can dream.
Good dream.
But I mainly use Grayson to work through my own issues, I guess, in a way. Yeah. I don't know how heavy. I don't want to know how heavy we want to get into that.
I mean, we can. Heavy as you want, bro.
I literally just talked about having to put a cat down, so I mean, anything.
Okay. So about 5 years ago, my dad did die. So that was super tough. And in both games that I've played Grayson, his father has died. So in a kind of way, I have to work through that with my own character. And I kind of find it soothing. Other people kind of, from what I've gathered, like when they RP, they just want to, everything to be happy, sunshine, rainbows all the time. And I'm like, I don't want that.
you kind of want to challenge yourself is what I get. Because I think I remember asking you, I'm like, do you want this? Is this okay?
Yeah. And it's totally fine. Like for me, there's not really a limit as far as like what's not okay on my end. Of course that's just me, but I like it. I like to use it as a challenge and like kind of looking at myself from a different perspective.
Which is amazing that you're using this game as a great tool to overcome something that's challenging in that. That's fucking dope. Like super props, because you're choosing to do so. You're facing this horrific thing, like, and you're fucking mastering that. Like you're saying, I'm gonna challenge this shit head on, and not just like as an internal like practice or like thought experiment. You're fucking doing it in front of people.
Yeah.
You're opening yourself up to the most vulnerable thing that you have, and you're opening up your heart, and you're like, I can fucking do this. That is the dopest shit ever, dude.
Yeah. And like it's super easy when confronted with something like Grayson's mom to just be like, fuck you, and then just leave or like not interact. But Grayson's got like a relationship with her. He has a history with her. They've had encounters. They have a relationship. Yeah. They have like they have like a very certain relationship, and Grayson has a certain way he feels, and I personally do like RPing that, and I think it's kind of just of a disservice to just sidestep that.
No, yeah.
Oh god, I'm trying to think how I would have been in your shoes if I ever had to kind of roleplay against a character that, like, if I had to come up against a character that kind of like represents like a very specific thing in my life. I don't know how I would handle that. And I can hear Jesus taking notes as we speak.
Like it's I don't know, like I find it kind of cathartic.
I mean, I can see that. Yeah, it was, especially being on the other end and playing a character that goes against everything that has, like, you know, for lack of better words, fucked me in my life.
Right.
It was a weird experience for me. It was a weirdly
to be that villain.
It's weird. Like I don't mind playing the villain. Like villains I find are very fascinating to write as characters, but to actually like put myself as the villain, I was like, holy fuck, what is happening?
The power.
It's kind of scary how easy it is to get into that headspace.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed their conversation, their back and forth, because I Vic, I know
the whole time.
because we've discussed his backstory,
of course,
with their relationship and stuff, and I hope it comes off to the people listening, like maybe they have an idea of what's going on. Instead of just being like,
I would ask that to the players that are witnessing it firsthand. Like, how did you guys feel about it?
Like, I thought I was watching some Jerry Springer, man. Come on. Yeah. Yes, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. That was really, really good role play as well. It's because like you're not like just kind of metaing or like, well, my whole party is here, so I guess let's just go. It's like basically you tapped into Grayson. It's like, no, he is.
Oh, I was muted apparently.
He's kind of scared, and he doesn't want to disappoint his mother anymore. That's why he wants to stay. But something happened. It just
if Xavier wouldn't have come back, Grayson would have 100% gone with his mom.
Yeah. And then, like, I'm kind of thinking too, it's like, what if that slap never happened and kind of woke Grayson up? It's like, would you have went to dinner anyway, even though Xavier was there trying to stop you.
Yeah, he would have.
Would have that been the end of Grayson temporarily in the campaign?
Vic.
That's true.
I
Because he's under the spell in a
I'm
way.
trying to think how to carefully. If
You don't have to
Grayson-
answer it.
No,
You're
I'm
the
saying
DM.
Grayson
you don't have to.
I was saying if Grayson had decided to go along with his mother, there was a high chance I would have had to ask you to roll another character for the time being if the party decided to not follow that storyline.
Right.
Because she said she was going north. She didn't say what part north, so there's a chance that you and the party could have ended up going very different directions.
Yeah.
And so for that, I would have had to ask you to roll a new character for that moment.
And if that would have been the situation, I would have been like completely fine with that because that's some good drama.
Yep.
And like I don't think I personally don't think characters should, I guess, meta not do that for the sake of them not wanting to be a character. Like what would your character do?
Yeah.
Is like first and foremost in my opinion.
Oh,
Yeah,
man, I'm trying to think.
That's true. That's true.
I'm thinking of yes.
I was like because the mic was muted, and again like it was more props to the performers at that situation because you're role playing your character. You're like any one of us like in a real world would be like that's abuse. We don't want to do that, and you're like no, this is what the character would have done. I've had a player in the past who was a paladin face off against someone completely out of their league, and like I can't allow this evil to exist. I have to challenge it. And it's right in front of me. And, like, the DM was like, this is suicide. Please don't do it. And they're like, I cannot not do it. I'm going to roll initiative. I'm like,
That reminds me of another moment that makes me sad.
It's kind of like that. I guess it kind of tapped into, like, with our good old Sneaky Boys decision to stay behind. Like
that was
like
brilliant.
Even though when Jesus was like, "Are you sure?"
He gave you
like,
2 chances.
He gave me a lot of chances. Like, but at the same time, it was like the dice was rolled already.
It was
like I thought about this. So like this is what Carabao wants to do.
Yeah. So this is a beautiful transition into from escape. I think we can all agree that we sit at the table, and the table is a temporary pause. Like we all come from different branches of life. We've all come from different everything, and we sit together because we love the game. We care about each other, and we sit here, and whatever BS happened, like losing my job, my girlfriend breaking up with me, whatever happened, I'm pausing that to become this character, to become this dwarf or this halfling or this ranger, and live a fantasy where we grow as with not only my family here at the table, but my in-depth mental family as the Vagabonds or the Order of the Broken Moth or whatever code name we're going to give ourselves in Horde of the Dragon.
I am so excited. I am so excited for whatever. I'm so excited for whatever you decide your.
Fox has only one name in mind, and I'm not going to say it now. But Fox has one name, and that's the only name he'll vote for.
I have a feeling I know what it is, and I'm like mentally prepared for it.
And if that becomes the team name, holy shit, yes and thank you.
Okay.
But going into immersion, other than going underwater, the definition of immersion is a deep mental involvement. So, there is a kind of like, how do I say it correctly? Like a law in Dungeons and Dragons where that metagaming is the biggest no-no. Do not metagame. Metagaming destroys the immersion. Metagaming destroys the game. You are the character. You are involved. But in very specific situations, I think, and I challenge, that metagaming still has immersion in it. here's why I think this is a dumb law.
Yeah, give me an example, bro.
Skill challenges
Yeah.
are incredibly immersive, but 100% metagaming. You looking at your character sheet and telling me what option you're choosing, and we have to succeed 4 times out of 6. We have 2. You know the difficulty, you know the success rate. When you're fighting a villain, you don't know what their HP is or what spells they have or whatnot. And yes, that is completely immersive. And you're taking time. Okay, my turn's in 3 minutes, 3 turns. All right. They already used that. Okay, so maybe I should use Blight instead of this. That's metagaming. That's you're not in the moment. I say that because in my first D&D game, metagaming was the biggest taboo. So much that the DM did not let you talk unless it was your turn in battle.
Oh my god.
Lord.
You cannot talk. And again, this was like my first time playing D&D, and this was all about beer and pizza. So it wasn't like the deep games that we're having, but at the same time, they're very much no metagaming. So it's a very odd like mixture of rules. And if you wanted to talk, you could, but that was your turn. I'm like, are you kidding me? So that's why I invented the whole quote unquote free action where like talk during your turn. And then and when they had and that's why I have the house rule of you can talk out of turn because everything's happened within the same round, but that will take off a reaction, which I think is a completely like valid thing unless proven otherwise. So like games like Sudoku or like a puzzle game, I think those are extremely immersive. And what I mean immersive is when you're playing, let's just say you're doing a puzzle. You and your friends are together doing a puzzle. You're forgetting your taxes. You're forgetting that you ate a couple hours ago. You're forgetting that you had for those couple minutes that you had a dog. You're forgetting about, oh, did I use a correct lipstick today? You're forgetting that, oh, my shoes are untied. You're forgetting that that you have to turn in that paper tomorrow. Like you forget the entire world, and your only focus is that puzzle.
Yeah.
So that is complete immersion. And some like. When video games are like, oh, look at the new Zelda game with all this immersion, you can go anywhere. Like, yeah, that's cool. But Tetris is also immersive. Tetris
I get
is
so wrapped up in Tetris so fast.
When you're playing a video game and then someone opens the door and you're like, fuck it, stop, I'm almost done winning. Like, you're immersed. Like, that's an exaggeration, but you're immersed. So, like, I just wanted to see if we can tackle, maybe challenge... which I agree that metagaming is metagaming as in like, oh, you should cast this spell on your turn, like or it's a troll, they're obviously weak against acid, you should cast acid splash or burning hand. I'm like, does your character know that? Can I roll a history check or a nature check or an intelligence check? 100%. Oh shit, it's a Medusa. Medusas are a legendary creature. We all know that Medusas are going to petrify us. Like, like there are ways that we can twerk the story and say, yes, you will know this information about a thing. But because I love skill challenges, and I'm going to steal something from Pathfinder 2nd edition that I completely love. They're exploring. I love mechanics, right? You can tell, getting hyped and shit. They're exploring like skill challenges through travel in vast distances. So they're putting a map and putting a hexagon system instead of the square system, and you have 6 actions per day. You can travel through 6 squares, some shit like that. So, like, are you moving? Are you, like, you have to take this many actions to rest? Like, are you resting? Are you exploring fast? Are you traversing through this difficult terrain? So, like, the group has to defeat this challenge as they're going through the land. So it's not just, oh, you're here, or a band of orcs attacked you. Like, there's different things that are happening as you're exploring the land. to give it a little bit more of that whole immersion thing, but also to not make it just so mundane as, oh yeah, you're there. Which, I mean, sometimes you're there. Like, you can't not...
Sometimes you're just there, bro.
Yeah, the world can't all be battle, but
Yeah.
D&D is a game about excitement, and action and drama, so we tend to pick those exciting things because everybody poops. We all know that. We have all read the book, Everybody Poops. But goddamn, I ain't gonna roleplay that shit with y'all, literally.
No.
Wait.
Why haven't you roleplayed every time West had his man? Like, I think that's really important to his character.
It's a very important character development tree right there.
I try not to look at their skills when they do stuff, because you know how many times I've rolled a dex for Grayson just knowing that he has a -2?
I think that's just Grayson's just innate knowledge that I am not very dexterous.
No, it's more of him being, I got this, it's fine.
I can do it. I have the legs
like,
of
I
a
got
baby
this.
giraffe, but I can do it.
Like while, like I can jump that gap while the legs shake.
But I think like characters will know certain things about themselves.
Yeah, of course.
So I don't think that would be too much meta-ing as far as like being your own character. Because Grayson knows he can talk to people. That's what he was kind of born to do.
Yeah.
Wes knows he's a strong boy, so it's like, okay, I'm gonna strengthen some shit right there.
Yeah, I agree completely. Like
He can certainly try on an Arcana check.
He can try.
He can certainly try.
I think that like in life, whoever is building a Lego set or reading these rules on a giant piece of paper, I need you to. It's distracting the shit out of me.
What?
I keep hearing someone like messing with something on their desk. I'm like, oh my god, build your Gundam. Like, what are you doing? What is happening?
Not me.
Jeremiah, put your Gundam away.
I think you're trying to.
Rocknarv, I need you to stop upgrading Braum in this moment.
Like, but the gold dragon told me I need 2 more legs.
God damn, I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, so like I think that everything like in life, especially with D&D, is case by case scenario. A golden rule is not going to be universal, but like 9 out of 10 will work. The whole idea that I read this meme and I'm like, I will disagree with you on like 7 out of 10 times. That athletics and acrobatics are not the same thing. And I'm like, yes, they're not. One is strength based and one's dexterity based. But you have been that character, that individual has existed in the world for how many years now? As old as they are, 20 plus years. I think that they know how to climb something. Like, they're not going to, if they're a scrawny dude, they're not going to use their upper body strength. They're going to use whatever they have in mechanics. They're going to use those stabilizer muscles. If you're a really big dude, and you know you don't have a lot of, like, endurance, you're going to try to climb that shit as fast as you can. Like yes, swimming through a river, I'm sorry, that's an athletic checks. Balancing through a tightrope, that's an acrobatics. I'm sorry. Like, they're very some times where that happens, but yeah, you know your body. Like, you should. You know it's your body.
Like kind of like when on our first or second game maybe of Horde of the Dragon Queen, when I asked our very wonderful DM, "Hey, is there a roof in this?
God damn it!
In this jail?"
God damn.
Murderai knows his body, and
his body is in the air.
It was one of those moments where it was like, obviously this was an oversight of the DM, but also it could be played into this is a severe oversight for the cultists themselves, because they've never truly encountered an Aarakocra before on that side of the world.
Yeah.
So it's like that. It makes sense for them to not expect to build a roof for a jail.
Yeah.
But holy shit, did I feel stupid in that moment? Is there a roof? And I'm like, motherfucker.
So this circular canyon that you said that we're corralled in, not imprisoned, corralled in.
With no way out but up. I'm gonna love throwing Murderai in dungeons.
It's like
Cage the bird.
when I asked that, it's because Birderai is not like I know Birderai is not really proficient into like opening locks or being very sneaky because he's this bright red bird.
Who somehow managed to elude a green dragon's perception.
Hey, there was a freaking fireworks.
There
so
was,
he worked
and I'm
with
very
it.
there was, and I'm very proud of you.
Like he worked with it. Like let me jump when there's fireworks going up too. Like let me blend in.
As a bird, that was very brave of you.
I'm a bright red bird. Let me let me
bird this
blend
out.
in. Let me blend in with this bright fireworks. Like
I'm gonna say, as a bird, that was very, very brave of you to do.
I'm a bird, not a chicken.
I should have made you roll a con save to see. Some birds, if they get so stressed that if they hear too loud of a noise, they will die. Like
like my heart.
So like I want to challenge that as well because I have rabbits. And every single expert, every single YouTube video, except for veterinarians, and even veterinarians on YouTube, they're like even if there's a fan on, your rabbit might have a panic attack and fucking die. And I'm over here fucking blasting Cannibal Corpse and Infinite Annihilator and fucking Cradle, and
like I mean,
all they hear is just all day long and blast beats, and my rabbits are like, whatever. Just chill, scratch my chin.
Man, like, come on.
Okay, my rabbits are metalheads. Get it.
Like, okay,
they are my kids, I guess.
They are your children.
Like you never know. Maybe when you're turned around, immersing yourself to Cannibal Corpse, maybe they're headbanging in the back. You never know.
It's the cutest thing ever when I'm blasting some shit like Demu Borgier at the background, and then you just see a cute little black rabbit just run back and then just flop on the ground and relax. So when a rabbit just like flops on the ground, that means like I am perfectly relaxed. I have nothing to fear. I know I'm prey and there are no predators. I'm like, man, the most satanic thing in the world is just blasting, and you're just like, I'm chill, dude.
Yeah, he's fucking chill.
Hey, it's my song.
It's my song. I can rest now.
Holy fuck, this shit slaps. I'm gonna lay down on the floor.
This shit slaps. I'm gonna lay down on the floor.
I mean, don't y'all do that at concerts?
Absolutely, every
just lay down on
day.
the floor.
Every single time.
If I go to a concert, they don't let me lay on the floor.
Like, why go? Yeah. That's exactly what I'm going to do.
Bother?
Dropkick Murphys is going to play a live concert soon. And I'm just going to, as soon as I hear that, I'm going to, and bounce on the floor.
The first time I joined a Wall of Death, I laid on the floor.
Wow. Jeremiah, that might be for other reasons.
I don't know what
that's a discussion for a different day. Oh my god!
I'm just imagining Jeremiah lining up for a Wall of Death, and everyone charges, and he just flops.
Oh no! I mean, I ran to the Wall of Death. I was on the floor. Like, I don't know what you're talking about.
He just planks down.
Oh my god! All right, so question for everybody. And since we started our introductions going from Mount Celestia all the way down to the Abyss, we'll start from the Abyss and go to Mount Celestia.
Fuck! Wait, I'm in the Abyss.
Well, you're at the bottom of the hole, so sure,
fair.
right? Technically, Celestia is above and Hades is down below, so we'll call you being Hades for the time being.
Fine.
So,
yes.
It'd be nice if all of our people here give us one time that they were deeply immersed in a story. Like, one time that you're like, holy crap, that just happened, and I forgot what was the real world. Like, oh my god, I forgot I had a pencil in my hand. Like, what is a fond memory you had of, doesn't necessarily have to be you, but something that happened in the table and you were just so immersed?
Like, does it have to be...
It doesn't, I mean, just
DNC in general, or just any games that you've seen?
Whatever. Let's just open end the discussion.
Okay.
This podcast doesn't have to be 100% be about D&D, but it'd be nice if it was, because that's kind of what we do. But don't worry about it. Yeah, whatever. Tell us a thing.
Let's see. I'm trying to think. I think I have like 2 accounts where this has happened. One's D&D related. One was just me reading a book, and it was a really fucking good book.
Okay.
and like it's like one of those things where I hit a story beat in a book, and I just kept reading it until the very end, like just all in one sitting, and then I put the book down, and I'm like, where the fuck am I?
Oh, what book was it?
It was it was Sabriel from the Abortion trilogy.
Okay.
By Garth Nix. Read it. It's fucking good. I love it. It's like it's about like a girl who like a dancer family where they communicate with and control the dead through like a series of bells. It's really gnarly. I really like that book. For D&D though, I would say the most immersed I have been. I realized that the more stressed I am in a game, the more immersed I am.
Oh my god.
So I will say
Okay.
I will say the fight with the Beholder was when I was like in the shit. Like I was in there. And also because I was physically in the room.
Oh, that helps.
That
Being
does
physically
help.
in the room
that
does help,
greatly help.
doesn't
Being
it?
physically in the room, and I'm like sitting there, and I'm like trying to strategize out what West would do, which is so hard. West strategy. He's just, I'm gonna go hit that thing. Fuck you. You're 20 feet in the goddamn air. What can I hit you with? I have an axe. I'm gonna throw that axe at you because fuck you, dude. It wasn't even a throwing axe. I'm gonna throw this shit at you because I'm mad at you.
Oh, it's the freaking great axe or something, right?
Yeah. Oh god, that was so dumb. But no, it was just like in that moment, and it's like we're here. This, everything's like happening all at once, and it was so fucking wild. And it was like the moment when Senman went down, and you're like, okay, hand me your character sheet, and I went, oh my god, this is a game. We're playing a game. We have paper and pencils and dice. What the fuck? It was like in that moment where I just kind of like projected into the, and I was like in it. And then the second like Senman's character sheet was taken, I was, this is a game. I'm playing a game. I have a pencil in my hand. Holy shit.
God damn.
So that was my moment.
That was a hard fight even for the
such a
DM.
hard fucking fight. Yeah.
There was man.
I was watching you stress, and I was stressed for you.
Yeah, there was a moment where I'm like, this could be a TPK.
Yeah.
This could really be a TPK.
I truly felt that moment. Like the second Aurea went down the first time, like there was like a switch that flipped West's brain, and it was like,
Yeah, and this
I
is
need
one
to
of
kill
those.
this thing as fast as I can.
Yeah, it was.
That sucked.
Yeah,
that sucked.
Yeah,
it was just the dice were against us that night. That's what made it so.
And it just so bad.
Amen to that.
Hey, there's an orc death.
Yeah, that is just
Formerly the Reaper.
Formerly the Reaper.
Yeah.
Hi, Dad.
Because the Beholder is not an idiot, very flawed individual, but not an idiot. And so it's going to have home field advantage in its lair, and that tunnel was specifically made so, all right, let me boop you out.
I'm a boop.
Oh, we have a long message in chat. If someone who knows how to read.
From Robolugi, I think that's Tadpole, right?
That's Tadpole. Let's see.
Tadpole.
It was. Let me read it out because I am totally proficient in reading.
Oh, please do.
Okay. I was gonna read it, but you can go.
Go for it, man.
No, I don't want to embarrass myself. You can embarrass yourself.
That's a very good thing to say. I don't want to embarrass myself in front of all of my audience and members.
Okay, I'll do it.
You'll do it.
Fine. Fine, Jeremiah.
Fine, I'll do
Whatever. Oh my god.
Anyway, Robolugia, we know him as Tadpole. He says, I have. It was the finale of our Tomb of Annihilation table, and we'd been quizzed about who we were and what regrets we had in life as characters.
Oof.
I was asked what I wanted to be later, and in character, I honestly said I wanted to retire. It was an epic conclusion where we were trying to seal a fallen god back into her prison, and we had people walk away with a white streak of their hair afterwards due to using their life force to seal it. I still respect that DM greatly for this.
Oh damn!
Smiley face.
Yeah,
that was a lot to take.
Tomb of Annihilation is one of those modules I do want to one day do.
Yeah,
Tomb of Annihilation is awesome.
Nice.
That was actually impressive to tell the truth.
Yeah, it was fun. Thank you, Tapple, for your story. Appreciate it. Ortet, since you're here, is there a time that you were like definitely immersed into any like it doesn't have to be like anything that we played here live, but like in your past,
in your 30 years of playing,
like what like something that you like hold dear to you, like I was totally in the game, like this, like it was it.
Well, I mean, it's funny, when I was in college in the fraternity, a lot of guys played D&D, but I didn't play. I was just kind of thinking like, well, you know, the guys that played that, they were a little nerdy and stuff like that. And I said, no, I don't think I'm going. And it wasn't until I was out of college that, you know, I was going through some tough situations in my life. And my brother ran a D&D game. He says, why don't you just come on and play? Or actually, my roommate decided that the game was going to be in our place, and I didn't have anything to do. So my brother said, here, you know, what kind of character would you want? So I rolled a little halfling thief named Copolis Banger. And we had a situation where we were fighting this guy that had a face shield that was just totally covering his face. Yet anybody made a move at him, he knew the move was coming and stuff like that. And everybody was just dumbfounded. And for some reason, I just thought, he can hear real good. So I took out my gold pouch and started bouncing up and down my hand. He started looking at me. I told everybody to do the same. So he got confused and we killed him. At that point, I was like, this is something I can get into, because I'm able to think, I'm able to create, I'm able to do something that, you know, and it really just, to me at that point, it just kind of things started looking up for me after that. So that was kind of my moment to where I think, you know what, this is for me.
Nice. That's awesome. Man, I think also my first character ever was a gnome rogue. And when I was getting into D&D, I didn't know what role-playing was. And when the DM said, all right, describe how you're stealing this. And like the first time I played with Theater of the Mind, I was like, oh, wow, this is amazing. I didn't know this was a thing. Like, Lord of the Rings is in my head. It was amazing.
I have a whole movie in my head.
Yeah, essentially. Like, we're still, like, because I think storytelling is my favorite art form. Like, my favorite medium. That's why I love film so much. Because it's another version of storytelling. It takes a community, that village, to make that one story. If the editor does this one thing off key, or one thing that's improv at the wrong time or at the correct time, or a director says this or that, like it takes the entire cast, the crew, everybody to make that story. Same thing with D&D.
Yeah.
Like we can have a totally normal game, and then Wes says one thing, and we're all like, holy crap, that was, god dang, the story got elevated because of...
When the fuck did West ever say anything?
I don't know, dude. It was just the first thing that came to my head.
Alright, fair.
I don't know, when you were trying to pick your nose with an arrow, I guess, I don't know.
Wait, did I do that? Holy shit, I forget half this does, I'll be real. I don't know, I think like the one time like I actually had a reaction from something that I specifically remember, because everything Wes does is improv. So I don't remember half the shit Wes does unless I'm rewatching an episode. It was...
It's good that we have our episodes on YouTube, so our players are like, wait,
I can
what happened?
What I do. I know, it's so smart.
If
Which, by the way, rewatching
else...
that fungus episode...
Oh, yeah, the fungus episode was...
That fungus episode's wild, I love it.
Yeah.
Not that, yeah.
No, I think like the one time I got a reaction from Wes saying something I would say is slightly poignant would be when he was encountering the king of Corvassa, and there was like some right. I don't know. They had a disagreement because Wes is like, this is a pompous rich fuck. I hate that guy. He's being an asshole. And he was telling him an asshole to his face, and the king was like, do you want to die? And he's like, every fucking day, yes. I remember there was like a moment where you're even like, holy shit, dude.
Like, I need to tell that shit. Yeah.
Okay. That was pretty good.
Yeah. Lynn, what about you, bro? What's a character like immersion that you've experienced?
Besides what just happened?
Okay, okay. Like that's
my bad.
The biggest reason why this conversation is what it is to this week was because of y'all's role play last week.
Wow.
Wow, I'm honored that
I,
our trauma.
I know. I'm there's
Feels
that.
like
There's that
basically
brain.
like the question was basically like your biggest immersion in a game that you forgot you were just in a game, and all of a sudden it was like, oh wait, I am in a game. I forgot.
It's not Jumanji.
And then you just got immersed.
It's not Jumanji.
That you just totally forgot that you're Lynn.
Oh yeah. Every day. No. It's probably with my Grayson's first group. Because we would meet for like 10-hour sessions once a week, and it was awesome.
I remember those.
But
God, I miss those.
he
I had
was
to put a cramp on dating.
nah. But Grayson was similar to how he is now, but this was the first time I ever played him, so he was a lot more depressed. That's for damn sure. But there was a certain situation where anytime he would use a message spell to talk to like his brother or somebody else, it could get intercepted. Yeah, it could get intercepted by the big bad of the game, and he can like take hardcore amounts of like psychic damage, and his ears would bleed and stuff. It would be a whole mess of a situation. So that was fun. Anytime the villain would directly kind of step in and just talk him down was not fun. But there was one situation where the group was in a tower. We had like the way it was set up was it was a hag's tower. We didn't know that at the time. But we go into this tower and there's a bunch of people laying in beds and they're all like not dead, but they're not asleep. And we couldn't figure out what was going on. And we were trying to get upstairs, but the door was locked and everyone was kind of whatever. Why are we even here? Let's pick the lock or whatever. Our barbarian did something stupid. Lo and behold. And
it's a brand trait.
all of these all of these bodies started getting up, and someone threw like a fire arrow at them, and then they all caught on fire, and we were trapped against this gate, and it was the most panic-inducing fight we've ever had because we were so outnumbered.
Oh no.
And we were all like, oh my god, we're gonna die. Like, this is how we're just gonna be on this gate and we're gonna fry and we're gonna die. And part of Grayson's story in that timeline was that he was a sorcerer, chaos magic sorcerer, but he didn't know it. So he just kind of like held out his hand and just screamed like, "Oh God, please help!" And it just kind of went off, and everyone was saved. And of course, being his dumbass, he gets shot 30 feet in the opposite direction and passes out and doesn't remember any of it.
Of course.
Wonderful.
But any super intense moment like that where you're going to die, probably, is instant immersion to me, at least.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But I'm not a fan of battles. I like role playing much more. So any intense role play is something that I'm a huge fan of. Like, especially if it's like one-on-one. Like,
those
deep backstory. Yeah. And
good.
like I want the Horde of the Dragon Queen group to just sit together and be like, okay, what is going on with everyone?
Yeah, backstory time.
Y'all need a powwow. We
are going to be in the ship soon.
We got a tiny hut. Let's do it.
Yeah.
If I could add something that Lynn said that really rang a bell in my head, that it's not about fighting, it's about role playing. It's also about using your instinct. When I played basketball in high school, those were my adventures. When I was in the game, I just felt like I was in an adventure. And then when I started playing professional basketball, then there were times, like she said, that she didn't think she was going to die, but she didn't know if she was going to die. So there were games that we couldn't see any way possible we were going to win, but to us, we couldn't see us losing it either. So you always have some kind of belief in yourself. And when I started teaching, really started working for teachers when I started playing games in my classroom for the kids. And because like you said, creating is the best fun about everything. And showing these kids that this game is just like life. It just all comes down to the roll of the dice. See how that works out. So
Yeah.
just add my 2 cents.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was cool when how you would like create like these for the kids in your classroom and then like have them like their own game. And like
That you know the story about all that. How
I do.
D&D, and then all of a sudden the school got all bent out of shape about it. But
yeah.
Then I moved on to Gamma World, and the kids loved it. The kids just thought it was the greatest thing in the world because, one kid said, "I never imagined you could play a game with your imagination," because he was waiting for the Lord of the Rings video game to come out.
Yup.
So,
and like Jesus said about storytelling, that's why I kept notes on all the characters. And next thing you know, boom, I had a story.
Yeah.
So
he does.
That's the fun part.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He has like a whole scroll of like all the characters that have like played in the past. Like
yeah,
all these
it's
different
beautiful.
pages.
It's really
I showed them the D&D one. I haven't shown them the Gamma World.
Oh, the Gamma World ones are so much fun.
Oh,
you get some really crazy characters.
Cannot wait.
I'll bring them next time we
they're so fun.
we get together. I'll bring some.
Please do. I would appreciate that.
Because every character on there has a story behind them.
That's awesome.
And a death date.
Like Semper Fi.
So, Jeremiah, what about you? Immersion story.
Okay,
Tell us
so
your story.
yeah, okay, so Vic was kind of talking about it already a while ago, but
Me?
the fungus episode.
The fungus episode.
Yes,
Don't
I
even-
am fully immersed by that, especially it's not just a barbarian trait, but it's also kind of a rogue trait, or maybe it's just a Carabao trait. I don't know. Carabao's kind of stupid sometimes.
I mean,
But-
I loved how Cal and leafed off of watching like
But, yeah.
episodes of this thing.
But when Jesus says, well, what was that Constitution save for those mushrooms?
Yeah, it was a Constitution save.
Con and or wisdom.
It was a Constitution.
I think it was Constitution. So he said Constitution save. Ooh, yes, I'm a rogue. That's the best trait.
That's my dumb stat.
So I rolled the con save and I failed.
Yep.
So that yes, Carabao was infected by the mushroom spore. And
balls with the horse.
he was tripping balls a lot. So
yeah,
I just kind of. So I was like, how am I gonna role play this? Because I don't do the deeds. And so okay,
yeah,
let me
that
just
was
do
a
this.
big thing for you because
let
you're
me
like,
just-
I don't know how to do this. Like you're like, I just don't like. I don't know, man. Like just these are the things
So,
you're experiencing.
I
Just
just-
open up a
let
baggie
me-
at the table and take some. You're like, all right.
So in a way, I was just kind of like, just kind of silent there and just basically like think about role play, and then stuff started happening, and I was just in there. I was
Yeah.
riding on Wes's back because I can't really walk because I'm just his Carabao was just tripping balls, and then especially that one time that Jesus was like, "Oh well, okay, you're inside the cave and it's really dark."
Mm-hmm.
Like it's really dark, especially for West. Doesn't have dark vision. Immediate reaction for Carabao. Freaking torch. I'm gonna open a torch. And then Jesus just said, "Hey, there's a bright torch in front of you, just shining through the room."
So shame.
Freaking I was immersed. I was immediately completely immersed on that cave. It was like, I'm fucking Paylor. I'm just like, I'm Paylor. And I yelled it. Like,
I have brought the sun.
and Jesus was like, that echoed through the cave. Was like, oh shit, I forgot that we're in the game. I forgot that we're inside the cave. And just the look on Colton's face, he just turned around so slowly. And he looked at me like, oops. Like, I'm sorry. I was immersed and I was just playing, I was role playing this Tripping Balls Carabao, and that's what just happened. Like,
Hey, Jeremiah, Jeremiah,
Yes.
did Colton's face look the same way during the barroom fight?
Oh God.
No, he wasn't really panicked. He was more of like
He was shocked. He
It's-
didn't see that coming.
it's more of a like I can't really say it. I can't because I don't have experience of it. Daddy issues. But it's more
Dad,
of
do
like
you have experience with that?
it's more of like a father look, basically. Like, what the fuck did you just do?
Oh, the disappointed father
Disappointed dad
face.
face.
Disappointed
It's like,
dad.
what the heck?
Like, son, how could you?
The neutral
Like, how could you?
You're supposed to
First
use
of all-
mustard, not ketchup. God.
Like first of all, how dare you desecrate the name of Paylor? Second, we're inside a cave. Why did you yell? So yeah, that was my little immersion, and I guess not really talking about D&D 2, kind of like with Vic. It's like I was reading a book. Let me say it again. Reading a book. Aragon.
Yes.
I was reading that. I was completely immersed in it. I was going in the back pages.
That was
looking
the,
at,
that was
like,
the second book that I was the most
Like
immersed in.
looking at translations, like what they were doing, and then looking
Oh,
at
yeah, the
also
spell
like
list.
on the very back page of like the map of it was like, oh, they're
Is
here
that
now.
where you
They're
got
trying
Brahms' name from?
they're here. They're trying to move here. No, actually, it's from a League of Legends game.
Damn it! I was super excited for it. I was like, is that where you got Brahms?
No, I got Brahms' name from a League of Legends game because basically I was not really trying to imitate it, but I was inspired. The voice inspiration was from a character named Braum in League of Legends, and yeah, so that's why I named Braum, but Rognarv is named Rognarv for some reason. But yeah, that's my story.
Just to let you guys know, when you guys were affected by the spores, first the fact that the
I think it was just me
troublemakers,
and,
yes, the fact
Yeah,
that it
oh
was
yeah,
the true
Wes-
troublemakers
after
in the
a while,
group
yes.
that got affected was funny enough. Secondly,
Like-
when you guys got affected, I had to roll a d10 to see what effect you guys had. It could be something like completely devastating to paralysis, to
Oh,
like being
man.
mind controlled, and you guys had the psychedelic effect. Both of you had. You can communicate with all the fungus here, and it
Yes,
was like in
exactly.
parentheses, you are one with the fungus. You believe you are part of the
Family of
hive
fungus?
of the
Wow,
fungus. And I was like,
I'm
okay, let's roleplay that.
Yeah, that's actually really funny because at first, yeah, it was just me, and then West failed his save.
and then
And then
Cowa
us-
West was born.
Cowa
Cowa
West
West.
was born.
Yep.
Like
Oh,
without
Cowa
those
West.
spores, Cowa West wasn't gonna be.
Oh no, the
Oh my
power
God, I
of Cowa
totally-
West. I forgot
totally
about that.
Yeah, I forgot about them.
Hashtag Cowa West.
Hashtag Cowa West.
Oh.
was just
forgot
A
about
really
Cowa West.
tripping balls rogue hanging off of a barbarian that was also tripping balls.
Yes, it's a tank. Like it's a little tank. We're a ranged fighter that can't be killed.
Exactly. We were invincible.
So Colton, what
Yeah.
story do you have?
Why are you skipping?
Hey, why don't skip
Hey,
yourself.
yeah,
Jesus,
don't
stop
skip
skipping.
yourself. It's your turn.
What? No, it's fine. Colton can talk.
No. We're going in order.
There's order here, sir.
I'm trying to think. What really immersive thing have like I've been in as a player? I think the only real time which it feels off a little bit, but like the only story that comes to mind was in my first time playing D&D with my rogue gnome Doomby. It really Doomby, yeah. He's a cutie. The DM was describing like we were in an arena watching a fight or something, and the DM described this extraordinarily like rich man whose gold was falling out of his pocket, and like who's being super loose with this open coin purse, and I was like, okay, cool, and then like kept like, hey Jesus, his coin purse is open. Like, okay, I get it. All right. To move the story along, I'll attempt to steal, and I rolled pretty high, and and the DM was like, "Oh, well, he catches your hand." What? But I rolled like a 19. Well, yeah, but he rolled a 20. I'm like, okay, cool. What happens now? And then like, I was like angered because it felt like the DM tricked me, like at least to the player. But then the scene that he described next completely made up for it. Well, I wouldn't say made up for it, but in the moment, I was like, "Oh shit! I forgot I was mad." This was really cool. And how he went into this elaborate discussion, detailing on how like my character was like put into display and how this was like the king of the town, and this ogre came out and essentially like smashed my character's hand, and like then I had to like role play. Okay, well now, and then like immediately a wizard came and like sealed and cauterized the wound. So I'm like, now I am one armed. I am a rogue who fights two weapon handed with one arm. What do I do now? And that was other than like, oh, wow, we don't have plot armor. Wow, we are people reaping the ramifications of our actions. It was one of the most like, at least for me, even though again I feel like the DM was trapping me and trying to make an example out of me or something, but it was it that scene, that description of my arm shattering and the ogre coming out and like the wizard cauterizing it, like that has never escaped me. And that was one of the first times I ever like played an image in my head as someone was telling it, and I forgot where I was at. It was just I was listening to this guy explain a scene, and all those images were in my head. I was imagining the crowd cheering. I was imagining this ogre as he's walking down and the sand starts kicking. How he grabbed his. He didn't even say what weapon it was, and in my head I was like, "Oh, he has a gigantic great club filled with spikes and it's rusted and horrific looking." And as this guy just holds this little tiny gnome arm, maybe even a foot, and like the club just comes and shatters it completely. Like that was immersion, and I because it was so long ago. I don't know if I'm piggybacking off of like memories and just over time just evolving on it, or if the DM really described everything. But that was one of like, wow, that was a cool scene. Now it's Colton's turn.
Yeah. Now it's Carlton's turn. Yes.
So this was kind of like the coolest stories that we kind of just felt like we weren't even in game anymore. It was just like happening.
Yeah,
like
basically,
immersed. You're fully immersed.
Yeah.
where you were not Colton, but you were said character. You were living that moment.
That's hard because there's been a lot of moments. But I guess the one that I think is the coolest was when I played. I think I told y'all about this before, but when I was playing Edge of the Empires, which is the Star Wars, and I was a Force character. This is long after Order 66, so the Empire is out there, and I'm this Force sensitive who's fallen to the dark side. And I have one of my best friends who was playing the game with me was also Force sensitive, and he decided to become my and we had other non-Force sensitives trying to make our way through the galaxy and survive. Through some traveling and stuff, we came across an NPC. It was a Jedi, and we went to and it's the canon planet. So there's a planet, and on either side of the planet are two black holes, and we come out of light speed in front of the planet, and we see a star parked there, and we're like, shit. So the Star Destroyer contacts our ship, and we're just saying, hey, we had to think of an excuse because we were like so screwed at this point in our little. And we said, emergency repairs. We need to land, and they're gonna let us go land on the planet so we can make our repairs. They said, all right, proceed to docking bay 3. So I'm just like, okay. So we get to the ship, we get split up as one does, and I decide pull a total Han and Chewbacca and all that. So like we knock out the ship, put their armor on, and we had just armor for us, not for Marcus the Jedi. So I decided to act like he's, and I say, I need to go to the bridge. So I get escorted up to the bridge, open the doors. You go onto the bridge of this Star Destroyer, and you're looking at the window. There's a black hole in the planet right outside the window. And there's the captain. You see him in his gray uniform standing next to him. Hooded individual wearing just black. And at that point, I start, and I'm like, oh shit. So I walk up, and he's like, all right. And I pretty much introduce myself. I'm here to deliver a prisoner. And the captain turns around, and I see the hooded figure, his hand kind of flinches. And at that point, I'm like, all right, screw it. So I just pull out my lightsaber, ignite it, and tell him I slash windshield on the bridge before stabbing my lightsaber the floor and just hold on for dear. So I rolled for it, rolled a triumph, which is pretty much like a nat 20. And he said exactly what I hoped he'd say. He says, the wind on the bridge completely shattered, and the vacuum of space sucks everyone out of the Star Destroyer, including the black hooded figure, before the blast shields or blast doors close around the windshield and stop the escape. So now you're on the bridge completely alone. No one, and the alarms start blaring as the ship starts listing to the side, getting taken into the blast. So at that point, it's just a mad dash to get off the ship. But that thing started describing just like how everything happened and everything, and the alarms. I wasn't even in the game at that point. I just could imagine myself in my mind the alarms that the Star Destroyers have. Wow, and I was just the coolest thing ever. And I'm like, oh shit, wait, I have to roll for another check.
There's dice. Oh fuck!
It's just like in your head, you're just like already running. It was like,
yeah, exactly. Like in my head, I was on the bridge.
Roll
of
your
Star
dice.
Destroyer.
My favorite thing about playing games like that, no matter like if it's D&D or whatever, you always recall the memories as if they're your own.
Yeah.
That's my favorite thing. I love going into like public places with someone I've played D&D with. I'm like, remember that one time we did this? And everyone's like, what the hell?
Who did you stab?
What are you talking
about? Should we call the authorities?
Jeremiah, you remember that time when we like went into that trove and we spelled out our names with
oh my god. Fuck you guys.
Western Cow was here.
Western Cow was here.
And not with like a stick.
That was a questionable moment, but goddamn, that was funny.
Yeah, like I don't yeah, that was. Are we really doing this?
In all fairness,
Cow was gonna do it. He has a sword.
In all fairness, the DM supplied us with barrels full of severed body parts.
Yes. We had to spell something.
I think supply is the incorrect term.
It was in the environment that we were capable of interacting with.
I think if I had to choose a moment in the Sacred World game, though, for Ariel, it would be the moment we were going to the Mage's Tower in Crobassa, and we stopped into that.
Oh man!
And it was all the bodies and stuff.
Oh, that was so freaky.
Ariel makes contact with the spirits of the bodies, essentially, just begging to be freed, and
yeah,
that was the first time the Sacred World campaign that Ariel actually prays and makes contact with Palor, and description of it about the roaring that was there, how it just ignites into an inferno. A flaming lion crawls out and speaks to Ariel. That blew my mind. Like I was like,
I mean,
and
the
that
moment,
was No, it's just kind of because of that. I just remember that freaking door when we're trying to open the door to the freaking.
Oh god, you were
Oh
like
my god!
one success.
I
like
was one
point
off.
success. I was like, holy
Yeah,
shit.
I just barely made the DC. Basically, it's like my
that was
door, it was gonna
beautiful.
explode.
It's like you were 1 point away. Anything less and you would have fucking,
Yeah,
we would have all died.
like
Yeah.
I think I rolled like a
Shit.
19. And that was a very, very high D too. And I think I rolled basically I almost maxed out.
The success was like you rolled like a 26 times. I was
Yeah.
like, oh fuck.
Yeah, it
because
was
the
like something
Arcana
like
at like 5 to
The DC
difficulty.
was 25.
Yeah.
that.
And you're like, oh shit, you disabled device. All right.
Yeah.
Then.
Oh yeah. Also, remember the bag of devouring?
Oh my gosh.
That bag of devour.
that was
That was
some
such
good
a great
immersion as
moment.
well. It was like I did not know what was going on. I was
How
just
far is the
in that
giant?
game.
I'm gonna
That worked
throw
so
him.
well.
I'm gonna throw cow at it.
Wes did not even do math on that one. He was just like, I'm strong enough. I'm pretty sure I can throw him.
Yeah, that's a thing. So moving on. The last little thing that I have for tonight before we close our podcast is what is your favorite immersion tool that the DMs use? Like sound, a smell, props, anything specific that you guys like that the DM does, or things that you've seen other DMs do that maybe you want to do you want your DM to bring to the table?
Guys, the alley dogs are back. Holy shit.
For me, it's the set. It doesn't even have to be, the little miniatures or the stuff. It doesn't even have music per se, but it's just the surroundings during the game, I guess. So like especially now that you
describing?
No, like I guess just the physical
like the
for
actual,
the game, like
the literal terrain.
Yeah, so like
okay.
Like we have that's kind of what you were asking, right, Jesus?
Yeah, I mean this is an open question. Yeah.
So like the now that we have that, what would you call it? A wrap, a banner, that goes around the entire studio.
Oh yeah,
it looks like a tavern.
Yeah.
The backdrop. Yeah, that just ever since we got that done and it's like covered up the door and everything, it's just like I walk in there and it's just like
we are here.
You are here now.
Yeah. No, I love that. That gets me into the game pretty well.
Cool.
Yeah. With me, I guess it's basically the choice of music. Like every time you play a music, we change settings. You play a different music. It kind of helps me with immersion. Like, okay, I'm in this game. This is what I'm hearing when we're on this location, and also with like the storytelling wise, it's like you, the DM, explaining this is what you see, this is what's going on. There's that one person over there that's doing this. That one person. You're not just saying like in a 30-foot radius.
Oh,
this is what's going on. It's basically like you're explaining like just some random NPC. Like there's this one NPC over there, kind of like just yelling at the person, and then there's another NPC over there. Just some random NPCs that you just threw in there, not really part of the story. It's like it's just when you're explaining basically the settings, it's like it's making me be in the game instead of just me sitting down on a table with some miniature or maps in there. It's like it helps with the immersion when you're explaining these little details of what's going on in our background.
That's awesome.
My favorite thing, we can't really do it just because we use Roll20 for hot DQ.
I'm sorry.
No, it's not your fault. Also, I'm 2,000 miles away. It's fine.
Wow, so selfish of you.
No, but definitely for Horde of the Dragon Queen, I love it with the descriptions of things. That's super helpful for me because again, I get super lost when I read books too.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So any type of like good description of something, I just kind of zone out and just think of it. theater of the mind style. But my old group, our DM spoke 7 languages. Like he
fucking
like
cool.
Beautiful.
like yeah,
Awesome.
that's what he does. He like translates stuff and like he's an interpreter and blah blah blah. But
Nice.
one of my favorite things he would do is like he would really get into his NPCs. So like there would be an NPC that would wear a mask all the time, so he would actually go and physically wear a mask when he'd play that character.
Lovely.
Or if there was a language being spoken that your character didn't know, he would actually be speaking a different language. And like role playing in it.
Yeah.
And you're just like, okay.
Yeah, I guess to add to that point too is like basically like all the different accents that our glorious DMs here that does, and it was just great. And let's say that it's canon that Elvish is Tagalog. Anyway,
Yeah.
moving on.
Which is
I do
entirely
love-
Tagalog.
I do love that.
It is canon in our games.
Elvish
because
is
of, like,
Tagalog.
Yeah, it was like I don't know what by English, like because English is not like
English is a
not my
fucking
first
curse, dude.
language.
English is a
English
curse.
English is not my first language, and it started. And I think right now it's not even my third language anymore because of Spanish. I speak Spanish more than English,
Yeah, that's fair.
especially when I'm at work.
Yeah.
And yeah, when we were at that one point at the game, it was like there's this word or phrase that I'm trying to think of.
And we're like,
But I
just speak
can't
it out, man.
think of it. It was like, just speak it out. Like, okay, I said it in Tagalog. Oh, well, there you go. That's Elvish right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're,
Spoken
you're speaking Elvish at that point.
I love
That's-
that kind of thing
Yeah.
so much. Like especially with, I don't know any other languages. I barely understand English.
We're gonna learn together, bro.
Together,
But,
guys, we make one language.
Our DM had anytime someone was speaking Elvish, they would be French because he's 100% fluent in French. And
Yeah.
if there were Dwarvish, he would start speaking German. If they were like a Triton or some sort of mer person, they would be Japanese. And like he would just bounce back in between and like have his own conversations, and we would just be like, dude,
That's
we don't know.
Well, like,
And you were like,
We get it. You're a
we
polyglot.
get it. You're cool.
You're so cool, man.
I loved it. It was super fun
That's
because
awesome.
it's
That's
like,
amazing.
hey, what languages does Grayson know? Oh, he knows this, this, and this. All right, and they'll start speaking, and I'm like, dude, I
I
picked
think
up like
that's-
half of that.
I think that's pretty awesome.
Oh, it's super fun, and like, I'm sorry, Vic, but
Yeah.
there's a certain character that
No, I know
this
what you're talking about. Damn it.
Is this juicy information?
no?
This-
Yeah, is this juicy?
there was a certain character. We're gonna be talking about him on Saturday if you
will.
Ooh.
chime into that one.
Okay.
It's pirate stuff,
Yeah,
but
pirates.
Oh,
there was this one specific character that he played called Gentil du Dumont.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes.
And obviously
really
he's
like
a
this.
French elf, and so he would just be talking like, I don't know what you're talking about, and then like he would just start splattering on in like French randomly, like in between him speaking English. It was crazy, but
Love
That's
it's
great.
fun because anytime we wanted to make fun of him, we would just say it in a French accent, and it was fun. It's immersive. It's fun. It's
Yeah.
fun for characters and interacting and stuff.
Yeah.
It is.
Yes, it is.
And I guess moving on to Levick.
Who? I think probably branching off of the whole immersion for me. I think one of the fun ways for immersion, and I've been and I guess I've seen like posts about it here and there on Twitter. People that like do the Dungeons and Dragons games in schools for kids.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite immersion techniques is using actual known languages. What Lynn said, and you, Jeremiah, using actual known languages for the different, like the various race languages. So
Yeah,
like,
those are really
for our
cool.
canon, and it's forever my canon. And I need my phone to stop vibrating for a hot second.
It's not me.
I know it's not you. It's it's a commission piece that I'm working on. My person finally responded to me.
You're like, I want it this big, curved to the left.
Hey, don't even joke about that because that's a thing.
That is
I know.
actually-
I know.
Conversations about that for commissions. Like, don't even joke. No, but yeah. So like, in my heart of hearts, from now on, it's Elvish is now Tagalog. Like, you know.
What
Like,
would
that's-
German be then?
Um.
I
I
here-
think
depends.
German is like more like to me, I kind of see it as dwarven, maybe
Yeah, that's
because
what
of
we used
just
it for.
how, yeah, just how not, I don't want to say anything like kind of bad, but I don't mean it kind of bad. It was like just how aggressive kind of it is
Mm-hmm.
Very,
with
yeah,
like
very.
the language of it, like
Yeah.
the way it's spoken, I guess.
It's very
I don't know.
gravelly. I like it.
Yeah, that's the word. I should have just said it in Elvish or Tagalog.
I know that there's a specific conversation with our glorious Matthew Mercer where like using specific dialects in characters, like is that culture appropriation? Should be able to do that? And like I think it boils down to like excuse me, you're not insulting the culture. You're not saying anything negative. And just because this dwarf sounds a little bit like this does not mean that is specifically a region in like our world. Or just because they talk like a Scottish person, or maybe more of Hispanic language, or maybe an African language.
Yeah, like in
it doesn't necessarily mean like all dwarves sound this way. But at the same time, whenever every dwarf that you have kind of sounds a little bit more like this, then you're putting your players back into that mindset.
Yeah, basically. Which is I was gonna go off with the whole languages thing. Essentially where I got that from. Like there was one person talking about it where he ran like an after school club for some kids to play Dungeons and Dragons. And there was one girl, English was her second language. She was not very good at speaking it. She was, for the most part, like Spanish was front language, and that was the thing she could speak or understand. And so he helped her build a character where she was an elf, but she didn't understand or speak common. And so from there, Spanish became Elvish. And so she was an elf that only spoke Elvish. And through that, it helped her a new language through playing that game.
Yeah. Because everybody's
was a really
trying
cool
to
teaching tool.
Yeah, it's like everybody's trying to like speak to her in common, but
and she didn't understand it.
That's actually really good.
I think that was like a cool thing to do.
It's amazing.
It reminds me of my character who keeps getting crapped on because common isn't his first language.
Oh, that's right, because you have a druid character who's language druidic.
Yeah,
and everybody initially wants to shit on him because he doesn't understand the customs of, I don't want to say civilized, but a domesticated society is the better word to use.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, so I've played him like in text RPs, but whenever he speaks common, he's very blunt and to the point. He doesn't abbreviate things. Like, he will never say, it's like this. He'll say, it is this. Like, he's very, like, kind of...
Yeah, it is so.
Yeah, it is. Like, he's very just, like, blunt, I guess. But as soon as he speaks Druidic, it's like a switch, and he's so much more chill.
Yeah.
Because he can express himself better.
It's basically more of like, I guess, like, lost in translation or something. Or like, you're basically just literally translating the words.
Yeah, which
it's like,
yeah, which my favorite quote ever from anything is, "You have no idea how."
Wait, what was that again? It cut out for me.
It broke.
No, just it's like because it's like, for people that are bilingual, like sometimes you have like that bit of a barrier when it comes to trying to say what it is.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But and then that's why my favorite quote ever for anything is, "You have no idea how smart I am in my mother tongue," and that's like my favorite thing ever. Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah,
that's so true.
That's
I think it's those little things, little quirks to kind of tie back to the very first thing we talked about. It's the little quirks like that make it immersive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
for not just you as the player, but for other people too.
Yeah,
interacting.
Like I guess the more you like build off your character and play off, you get your little quirks, you learn your traits. Like that for me is the immersion, like especially even as a DM, because the more you get into your character, the more I can bounce off of for the story and for like NPCs and like getting you just like hooked into the story itself. Like that for me is full immersion. There's a moment where you stop. There's like you find the point where you just kind of stop being you and you are now this character in that moment. And that's fun for me.
I love the the paragraphs, the pages people send me. Like, oh, cool. Now we have missions to do. If you don't give me a character backstory, I can't really do much.
I have too much character backstory.
And that's why you suffer, Lynn.
Well, I mean,
Thanks.
wait. Question: Is Grayson in the Alistair universe or no?
Well, you're gonna have to find out when the comic
comes out in August.
Well,
all right. Good.
Look at that plug. Look at that plug.
Bro.
To answer that question, I mean, wasn't it? I can't remember if we talked about it in the podcast or if we talked about me playing Doodles, where Alistair was a character that was so existing within the same universe as Grayson's original campaign. If I remember
Correct.
correctly. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, all right. Well,
Yeah. So that was, and I think it was. You told me that Grayson's first encounter with Alistair, every second of it.
Oh, he hated every minute of it.
He's
like, who's this jabroni?
Like jabroni.
Like a fucking tool.
Like I can actually like I can kind of like see it and hear it at the same time. It's just because of how Lynn role plays Grayson and how Alistair is being like described to us, like how he is, and like the drawings that I see. It's like I can just hear their interaction. It's just it's glorious.
Yeah.
It's
I love
like
I love how you can tell the difference between Lynn speaking in game and then Grayson speaking in game.
There's
like,
a
I love
big
the difference that I hear.
Holy crap! There's a big difference.
It's just this chill bro, just trying to be friends with everybody and trying to be nice with everybody and just coming to Grayson. It was like, hey, what's up, bro?
He's a beautiful himbo.
Hello, my name is Alistair. Like, my name is Alistair, bro. Like, how are you? Like,
yeah, bro, what's up?
Man.
Their first
wish
3 feet rule. 3 feet rule.
Thanks.
Like,
No,
how dare you talk?
Their first interaction was at a tavern. And
Oh, no.
Yeah, their first interaction was actually at a tavern, and the two other party members had to go speak to somebody else while Grayson was like, hey, I need to go with my party, and Alistair's like, nah, bro, it's fine. Let me tell you about, like, this tea set I've got, and, like, he just kept talking.
Wait,
and he wouldn't let Grayson leave.
Alistair?
So Alistair was my backup in case Grayson died.
Oh, okay, and they were just coincidentally there.
So how my old DM had it was that all of our backup characters were in the universe as we were playing our first ones. So Alistair had he would do roles for my character, and Alistair was in jail. He got broken out by a pirate. He got put on a pirate ship. He actually worked as a pirate for a bit, and then
Alistair was in jail. I still can't believe it.
Yeah.
How did that even happen?
He was falsely accused of a crime.
Aw, poor guy.
Yeah, before he got sworn in as a paladin.
Aw.
He was accused of a crime of I don't remember what it was, but a noble accused him of something, but it was like false. It was like a whole thing. But yeah, so he had like a whole backstory, and then it just so happened we happened to be crossing paths. So having my DM try to have like the super masculine bro voice was the funniest shit I've ever heard. But yeah, so he wouldn't let Grayson leave, and he would not shut the hell up about tea. And Grayson's like, hey man, we gotta go over here and meet with this lady and do some stuff. And I was like, do you want to come with? Alice was like, nah man, I'm not into that kind of stuff. He's like, no. He's like, no. But that was the only one time that they encountered each other.
That's not my thing, bro.
That's not respect, bro, but like that's totally not.
He's like, respect, but I'm just not into that.
But that's kind of a cool idea though, that like your backup characters are already in the world just in case
it makes
the
sense.
thing happened. Like it made sense, but that was a cool concept for that DM to do. Is basically like they're already in the world. Sometimes they would interact to your current player. Now, character. That was I don't know. That was interesting.
It's weird.
Yeah, I think I can see how weird that is because it was like, wait, I'm talking like
It's like you're
Like,
talking to
just-
yourself, but at the same time,
like-
it's like you're talking to, hey, for the record,
Like-
if you die, I replace you.
Yeah, basically.
no, like it's not. It's like I can see how weird it is because that one time, freaking Horde of the Dragon Queen, like Murderized talking to freaking Carabao. That was
yeah.
weird. That was weird for me, man. It was like, this
What
is
about it?
weird. Like, I feel like I'm talking to myself.
I mean, were you?
Yeah, kind of. Like
He was
I'm
there
not.
and then he wasn't.
Yeah, I'm not
You're
physically
like-
actually.
And
Like
then you're
when
like, oh shit,
Murderai-
that's what it feels like.
When Murderai was talking, somebody else was talking for Carabao was talking, like not in my head, but I can hear it in my ears.
Yeah,
That was
Actually,
something else.
physically in the
And
world,
then-
bro.
Yeah, and then he disappeared. It was like, oh, so that's how it felt.
That's what it feels like, Jeremiah.
So this is how West and everybody else in the Sacred World felt. He
Even
just
at Renfest, you're
disappeared.
doing that shit to me, and I'm like, motherfucker. God, so sneaky.
So sneaky. So sneaky.
So sneaky.
Well, we hit that 10 p.m. mark,
We
so
did? Can we close out with a question?
we can close out with the question.
Because I've got that list of questions that our
let's
good
close
bro
out the
Jason.
question.
And
And I
you
rolled
roll
for
a
it.
die.
I did roll the die.
I saw it. I saw that die be rolled.
Yeah, man. So, random question is, so do you set of dice that is not only in dice jail but will never see the light of day?
Wait,
Wait,
you're
what?
cutting out. So what was that one more time?
God
Is there like
Damn it.
dice jail dice that will never see the light of day?
Okay. Yeah. So, do you have a set of dice that not only is in dice jail but will never see the light of day again?
I have one.
Yes, I do.
I have 2 sets of dice.
I have one set of dice that I will never roll again in my life.
Oh wow.
I have 2 sets of dice in my bag right now. Like
They're
Is that
actually
ASMR?
they're actually sitting in my
ASMR?
trunk. Oh, ASMR. Okay.
Ooh.
No,
I
but
actually don't have
Jesus-
any bad dice.
Like
You
Jesus.
just have your Grayson dice, right?
Well, his stats are the shit, not the dice.
like Jesus knows this already, and I think I said it out loud already.
Yeah.
That I have a dice in the bag. I have 2 sets of dice in the bag. That I've retired,
Yeah.
and one set of dice is green, one set of
hate
dice
you.
is purple.
I hate you.
Oh,
Like
I hate you so much.
This-
How dare you? How dare you say
That's
that to me?
this
awful.
dice
Front of my
has
face.
an altar in like my little table of otaku, whatever you want to call this.
I feel
table.
that. I feel
Will you
that.
will you ever bust
Don't
those out
like
like
that.
in case of a murder?
I have not.
Like
I
if
have not
like in that
busted
moment
no.
where your dice are like being
I feel that.
like-
break glass.
like I've done something like
Like I need
that,
to roll.
but
I need to
not-
roll a good stealth, please.
like I don't do it. I don't
Yeah.
do it like that, but I do like come on when every time you say somebody say well like okay
Roll
I
me a
need to roll stealth, especially with Murderai because he's done a lot of stealth things. I was like, come on, Carabao, don't fail me now. that's what I just basically kind of pray to.
pray to
It's
the
like
god.
a-
Pray to the
Now
dice
it's the
next to
god
you,
of-
but don't roll those dice.
Yeah, I haven't rolled this dice ever since that thing happened.
Aw,
no.
that makes me
I
sad.
was like, you know what? I need to retire
I,
you.
I don't know if I technically I guess I have like hundreds of dice that are retired.
Yeah.
But those are just the community dice. Anytime that like they're not my core set. I have a set of core dice that like alternate, except for one set. My original dice set that I bought 16 years ago. Those boys are with me every single game. And
Aw.
Jeremiah, have seen them. They're
Yeah.
used so much you can't even read some of their numbers.
Oh yeah,
Like,
I
you just
see
have-
you roll them and you're like squinting.
Like I had to put it against the light. You're like, all right, it's reflecting. Okay, it's this number.
Like I've seen Jesus like at one point when we were still playing the Horde of the Dragon Queen and the physically in the studio.
Yeah.
And he rolled it. It was like nat 20. And he was like pointing at it. It was like, how can you tell? I can't even my face is
fucking
in
read
front of
that?
it and I
How
can't
the
read
fuck
it.
can you
Like-
read it? He just felt it in his heart.
It's
like,
in
not
my heart
20.
to heart.
And it's like he said, not 20. And he's pointing at it. We're like, look at it, proof. And I'm looking at it. We're like, I can't read it. Like,
It's there.
Oh gosh.
It's right there. The numbers are there.
I have one set of dice that I have never rolled again, and they're sitting in the trunk of my car right now in a bag.
Oh my.
It was the dice that I rolled my last death save for West on,
Oh.
and I just put them away. I'm like,
Are they like
touching
in
those.
a Walmart bag and just like, no, you don't even get a
No, they're
good
actually
shot.
sitting in a dice bag with other
Okay,
dice
okay.
tainting them.
Oh shit.
But they are sitting
the
in a
other
dice
dice were being tainted.
they were actually my first set of dice that I bought when I started like picking up DMing for a group. So I bought those dice specifically to start my my games with.
Oh.
That betrayed me.
Yeah.
So I'm never rolling them again. They're just sitting there. If somebody, there's gonna probably be a point where I'm gonna put them in a little baggie and I'm gonna give them away. Be like, you take them next.
These is your problem.
See if you. That's your problem now. If they kill your character, not my fault.
Like, I don't want to touch him anymore.
I never felt so betrayed by a set of dice.
Oh man.
Fucking 5. God. Anyway. Colton, do you have any dice?
I don't, surprisingly. I only have three or four sets of dice. And I just, whenever they roll bad, I temporarily put them in dice jail. But,
Yeah, I've seen you fill up dice jail before.
yeah.
I'm kind of
Can't
thinking
even
that
close the dice jail anymore.
I should probably
I don't
get
really
bigger.
use my first set
Oh yeah.
because I got those. My first set was that black set of dice that I had.
Yeah.
I got the white marble ones at South by South by. God,
Oh,
I
yeah.
forgot.
God.
And then my newest set of dice I got for Christmas, those Dolomite white stone
Those are
dice.
sexy
Those are the ones I use
dice.
all the time. I rarely use the black dice at all. If the other dice fail me, then I use the black dice, but that's very rarely.
Okay, calling back to that to the fungus episode, it's just so funny. It was funny watching black die that she had, and it just kept giving her like nat 20 after nat 20, and just watching us get increasingly frustrated, especially you, Cole, getting so pissed off at it.
It was like, it's loaded.
He's like, it's a loaded die, I swear. And then Jesus rolled it once, and then he cursed it forever.
I rebalanced it. What are you talking about?
You can see him like seep his demonic power into it, and then he hands it back.
It's
Like, well, he needed to see if it's not a loaded dice or not.
in the world of Overwatch, it's called nerfing. I nerfed
Yes, it is. It is.
Nerf
Correct.
Oh, that's a good question, dude.
Yeah. I don't know if since I noticed that Orc Death is back, I don't know if he's actively listening in the moment or if it's his internet silence.
With the silence, I think it's just the internet's back.
It's the internet. Okay.
And I know that the internet kicked Lynn off. Her
we lost
computers.
Lynn. I'm so sad about it.
It's, the text was so
Time
computer
to
said
update
it was time to update right now.
like right now. Not even it was like we want to restart it.
I just sent a DM and I'm like,
Oh,
so I'm
man.
waiting to hear back.
All right. Well, thank you so much, guys, for tuning in and listening to
Yes.
us ramble about our epic adventures that we've had. A little bit of discussion on great role playing, immersion, and some escapism within our table.
Yep, I just got
Hope that-
confirmation that the computer decided to update right that second.
Yep, which sucks.
That sucks.
Bummer.
Hope that your table's always immersive. Hope that your table's just the right amount of escape that you need to get through your day. If you need to, D&D is not only a amazing game, any tabletop, any RPG game, not just amazing for bonding, growing friendships, growing a family, but also to help us through some tough times, help us explore and grow. And maybe be someone that we're not for a bit, which is totally fine. It's okay to not be you for a second.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. We will see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye.
Adios.
Bye.